Yo, 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 Richie Rich, aka Gold Pinky Toe, back at you with another short video. Today we're going to be replacing that factory radio in a 2011 Toyota Camry with a new aftermarket flat screen radio. You will need a couple tools for this. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, a 10mm socket. If you have pry tools, you can also use those or something else you're comfortable with, including your fingers. Follow me. I'm going to show you what I chose to do with replacing this whole centerpiece and putting a new radio in, from taking it out all the way to reinstalling the new radio and seeing how it works. So stay with me. We'll get this taken care of, and hopefully you'll be able to get your radio installed in a quicker and efficient manner. All right, we're back. So now that you have your Phillips head screwdriver and your 10mm socket, we can begin the process of removing the factory radio and clearing the area for the aftermarket stereo that we're going to be installing. Please take note that I have made steps forward for the purpose of this video to make it easier to show you exactly what needs to be removed step by step. With that being said, one of the first things we need to do is to put your key in the ignition and put your foot on the brake and turn the forward. Once you turn it forward, go ahead and move your shift lever down to drive. And when it's in drive, put your emergency brake on and turn your key off. Now that your emergency brake's on, you can go ahead and take your knob and unloosen it, because we're going to need that out of the way, especially to get the center console off. So when it's off, go ahead and just move it aside. The next step that we can go ahead and do is on the left and right triangular trim pieces that are on the lower part of the dash and sit on top of the center console, is to remove those. I typically do it by grabbing the bottom here, squeezing and pulling out, and you'll hear a little pop when you do. Move up about halfway, squeeze and pull out. You'll see that those are two tabs that are holding that in. Just be careful so you don't break those and set it aside. And then you want to do the passenger side, squeeze, pull out. When you hear the pop, move up, squeeze, and pull out. Two tabs again. Just go ahead and set that aside. Now, you'll notice with those off that there is a circular hole there and a circular hole there. Those are for the Phillips head screws, and you need to remove those. I already have done it for the video, but remove those and set them aside. Once you remove those, what we're going to do is take off the center console area. Is going to be our next step. So go back to where your armrest is and you lift your armrest up. You'll see that there's this gap here. Mine's a little bit up because I do have it loosened for the video, but nonetheless you can use a pry tool, flathead screwdriver, and get it under with your fingers, which is what I did. So what you want to do is, start over on the other side, get your fingers or your tool under there, lift up, get those tabs to pop up, get this loosened. Then come over to this side, grab up here, loosen these tabs on this side so that they're both pretty much loosened all the way. Now in here, you have your 12 volt, your cigarette lighter, whatever you want to call it. On the underneath of that is a connector. So it will be connected to this and holding this down. To get this fully removed so you can set it aside, when you lift this up and out of the position, and you turn it over, the tab for that is right there. Or sorry, the connector for that is right there. Go ahead and unconnect it. Now you can just set that center console over with your other pieces. This is all open. You got plenty of room to work. Okay. So the next step would be to remove your little cutty here. Now that you had those two Phillips head screws, you just simply can pull on those, both sides, and it'll come out. Now, this will also have two connectors on the back for your 12 volt and for your auxiliary. Those are right there. To get this fully out, you need to pull it out as far as you can and unhook both of those connectors. And then you can set that aside as well. Now you can see that we have a pretty good portion of the dash taken off. So the next step would be to remove the heater vents up there. You can use your tool, a flathead, your fingers. Mine's already a little bit loose, obviously, for the video, but I can get my fingers typically back here behind a corner and you start to work it out. So on the heater vent, you'll see that it's got the hazards button. That has a connector on the back. So to remove this fully from the dash, you need to undo the connector, and then you'll be able to pull this out. So once you get this loose all the way around, then you pull it out, you drop it down a little bit, undo the connector, and you can remove it from the dash completely. So there's the connector on the back, and you can see the connector just behind it and above in the dash. So then you just want to set that aside as well. So now we're down to the basic bones of the radio. So there's going to be 4 10mm bolts that you need to disconnect to get this whole unit out. So the radio, that is one whole piece. The heating element here with the controls, that is one piece. Those will separate, but for now, you have to undo 2 bolts up here. So I've already taken them out, but on the left above the volume, there's a 10mm bolt right there. And on the mounting bracket just behind the tune button, there's a 10mm bolt there. I'll see if I can get it, but up underneath here, a part of the bracket, there's a 10mm bolt on the left and a 10mm bolt on the right. You need to undo both of those bolts. Set all 4 bolts aside with the other ones so you know where they're at. And once you have all 4 of those removed, then you can literally just grab the radio and sort of work it loose like that. But like radios, it has connections on the back. So you can just let it drop down like this and remove all your connections on the back. And then you can fully remove the radio as such. Get a shot here of the back. So these will be your side connectors. And there's the back of the radio. So you have to undo an amplified antenna, a regular antenna, and a few different connectors. Now, once this radio is all the way taken out, I'm going to reutilize the bracket here on both sides to mount my new flat screen radio that we're going to put on here. So what I'm going to do is get everything together, go in the house and connect a new radio to this bracket and replace this. So the kit that I had bought for replacement of this radio will come with a new silverish bezel like this, but it has no buttons or holes, and only the single DIN flat screen in the middle is open. So it will look exactly like this housing, but it will have none of these controls on it. And then my new flat screen will go right here. So as I'm installing that, I'm going to make the next part of this as I'm doing such, so you can see how to do that and the parts I'm using, and we'll go from there. So just hang tight and we'll be right back with you. All right, we're back. I just want to show some of the parts I got to accomplish swapping out this radio. So as you can see, there's the factory radio, and what the plan is to take the factory mount kit, which is this metal housing on both sides, and mount it to my new flat screen aftermarket radio. Hopefully it'll mount in the same position and be an exact snug fit. So I went ahead and got a Pioneer flat screen. It's model DMH 130BT. You can see it's got, it's a basic flat screen touchscreen, not a pocket breaker or nothing. It was relatively cheap, I think about 150 bucks. As far as my actual mounting kit, I didn't do a mount dash kit because I'm going to utilize the one off the factory. But for the face, I went ahead and I bought this kit. I got it off eBay. It comes with the face for a double DIN, or it comes with the face and a little compartment if you're doing a single DIN, which was cool. But I bought this one off of Amazon. You can see the maker. There's the actual part number. And I put it up to my screen there, and it fit like it should, so I'm good with that. The other part that I bought was this wiring harness for direct wire up off of Amazon, and it was really easy. But that's the one I got for it. So like I said, what I'm going to do is hopefully plan to hook that radio up to where this one is with that face, and it be a good fit. So what I'm going to do is get that done and then show you the update on that. But one of the things that you can do that I also did is on my radio, I went ahead and I pre-wired the factory radio with the harnesses. I used, these connectors and heat wrapped them or whatnot. So that way when I'm actually ready to hook it up to the dash, it's just plug and play. I don't have to do nothing there. That saves a lot of time just to pre-wire it. So I'm going to get all that done, and then I will show you the update on the radio. Alright guys, so as you can see, I got the new face on, and I have the new radio flat face hooked up. Basically, the way I wanted to do it worked out great. So I took the side bracket that was already existing and I just mounted the radio to it back exactly where it was on both sides. And you can see, got my wiring all hooked up here, ready to go. So literally the only thing I need to do now is to go put the radio back in, hook up the 4 main bolts and all my connectors, and put the car back together as far as the dash and the center console, and we'll be ready to jam. So as I start to do that, then I'll go ahead and show you that as well. So be back momentarily. All right, as you can see, we're back. We got the dash all put back together in the center console. Everything fit as it should, tight, snug, back in place. Just did a reverse install of what we had done earlier. All in all, I'm happy with this. Very easy install. Everything fit as it should. The only thing here is the color is a little bit different than the original, but I'm not too concerned with that because the ease and the fitment and everything, takes well over that. A couple notes to make while you're doing the install as far as the aftermarket radio and putting everything back together. Make sure you connect everything back. So make sure that your hazard light connectors back there. Make sure that your heating and air connectors back on. Your connectors for your 12 volt and your auxiliary are connected again. And make sure that your 12 volt and your cup holder is connected again. Hook all those back up. The other thing I would suggest is before you button all this stuff back up, hook your radio up. Make sure the power comes on. Test your speakers. Make sure they're all working correctly through the fade and the balance. Do all of those testings before you button everything up, because the worst thing to do is hook everything up and then have to take it back apart because something was missed that you could have caught prior. Right now, the radio, let's see here, it turns on like it should. Now, I was getting a bad reception, so you can see in this video, this 102.1, I couldn't even pick it up before I hooked up the remote blue wire on the back of the radio, even though it's a local channel. And my other local channel, the rock channel, it picked up, but it sounded like crap. So I'm going to turn the volume up and see what the reception is right now for both of these stations to see if the blue remote wire really helped or if it just didn't do nothing. Okay, so the 105.7 is a lot clearer than what it was before I hooked up the remote wire. Okay, the 102.1 I couldn't even get. I hear it clear as day now that I hooked up the blue remote wire. So with this radio, not this particular one, but an aftermarket radio, on a 2011 Toyota Camry and similar years, you will need to make sure that the remote/power antenna wire is hooked up on the back of the radio to get the clear reception. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put an adapter on here so I can use my steering wheel controls. I'll make a video about that and its connection. And I'm also going to do a video on hooking up a backup camera to this and its installation as well. So all in all, I hope this video helps with removing the factory radio for your Toyota Camry and making things a lot easier and getting you an aftermarket radio, bringing you out of the old days into the more modern era. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to leave them below. I'll try to answer them and get to them as best as I can. Other than that, you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.